YouTube, it's Danielle. I don't make discussion videos very often because honestly I am much more eloquent in the written word. If I have time to really think about what I'm saying and edit myself, I can put together a really eloquent discussion. But when I'm talking to a camera, I get very disorganized and I get very passionate and I tend to rant, and I don't want to do that. But we're gonna try this one more time. The reason I wanted to make this video stemmed from a lot of different sources and a lot of different things that I've been thinking about, but the main point of this video, I want to talk about, for me personally, why I read YA and why I don't think that's a bad thing. If you're watching this, you are probably a part of the BookTube community, which means you're probably well aware of the drama that happened a couple of weeks ago concerning Steve Donahue's video and the hashtag fake reader girls discussion on Twitter. I'm not going to get into specific things that Steve said or my specific feelings on those specific things because that would make this video way too rambly, but it did influence my reasons to make this video, because even though he never specifically says the term YA, it's very obvious that part of the reason he's attacking the people that he does and saying the things that he says is because he has a very low opinion on YA authors and readers. So that was strike one on the reasons for me to make this video. Another thing that's been happening a lot lately is a lot of booktubers making videos about why they're not reading YA anymore. There are a lot of different themes and variations on these videos, but the common buzzwords are outgrowing, too old, and predictable. And these have been 18, 19, 20-year-olds making these videos about how they're outgrowing YA and they're too old for it. As a 25-year-old YA reader, I wasn't sure how that was supposed to make me feel. I'm not saying that a booktuber who wants to read less YA and more of other genres is wrong. BookTube is a wide, diverse community, and part of the reason I love reading is because there are so many things to read. Not everyone is going to like or read the same books, and I love that about the community. But the way it's talked about just doesn't set right with me. And I couldn't get rid of the gnawing feeling that the way they talk about it means that other people who do read YA are wrong. So that was strike number two for me to make this video. And the last thing I want to talk about is something I've been seeing more of lately. Last night on Goodreads, a particular review caught my eye. And I won't say what book the review was for or who the reviewer was. At the beginning of this review, there was a sentence along the lines of, "I don't understand people who like this book." And honestly, I've seen that a lot lately. Things like, "If you liked this book, I just don't understand." Or, "I don't understand the hype that this book is getting, and people who liked it are crazy." Or even, "The people who like this book clearly don't understand writing." And the majority of these reviews are for YA books. I understand the need to read critically and talk about things that we don't like in books and discuss things that don't work. But putting down entire groups of people who like a book just because you didn't is not the way to go. Because even if you didn't like the way that an author portrayed a character or how a character changed throughout a novel or even in a series, that doesn't mean that other people don't. So that was strike three on why I needed to make this video. So all of that combined between older booktubers looking down on YA and disparaging reviews against YA books and their readers, I felt the need to make this video. So let me give you a little background information on me to begin with. I'm a 25-year-old college graduate with a Bachelor of Music Education in vocal emphasis, and I am a substitute teacher, and I'm living at home with my parents until I can find a permanent position and I can afford to move out. So by all accounts, I am an adult. And yet, I read YA. So for all those booktubers who say that they're outgrowing YA and are too old for it, what does that make me? They may not say it, and they may not even think it, but the underlying message is, if you're too old for YA, you're too old for YA. There's a stigma against YA books in general, and the usual arguments thrown at YA books are, there's not enough character development, and it's written really simply, and it doesn't take much to understand, and it's predictable. And because the stigma exists against YA, there's even bigger stigma against adults who read YA. People are always saying, "You're an adult, why don't you read adult books?" Or, "Don't you think that's a little simple for you?" Or, "You need to expand your reading." Well, guess what? I do. This is my notebook for 2015, and this is my notebook so far for 2016. I keep track of every genre, and I make a mark for every book that I read. So I'm looking at my list from 2015, and yeah, the majority of them are YA, but I also read a play last year, a nonfiction book, a kid's book, 2 chick lit books, and a ton of comic trades. This year so far, I've read a bunch of comic trades, a graphic novel, and another chick lit book. And I have plans to read so many more adult books and comic trades and chick lit books this year. So it's not that I read exclusively YA, and even if I did, that would still not be a bad thing because I'd still be reading. Not all of us read for critical reasons. Some of us read just to be entertained. And if that means I'm going to read about a high school couple who fall in love over the course of a year, that's fine. If that means I'm going to read a YA fantasy novel about a group of teens with superpowers, that's fine. The point is, I'm reading. The point is, it doesn't matter what I'm reading. The point is, even if I read all YA all the time, it shouldn't matter to you. Whenever these arguments against YA come out, there's usually a bunch of people who are like, "But I don't just read YA." Even if you only read YA for the rest of your life, no one should be able to put you down because of it. If that's what you enjoy, then that's what you enjoy, and you should be able to read it without judgment. And the worst part is that this stigma against media created for teens usually doesn't extend to other kinds of media. This is usually just reserved for teen books. So what, in their eyes, is the difference between a 25-year-old reading and enjoying this book and a 25-year-old watching and enjoying this movie? There's no difference. This is a teen rom-com, and so is this. It's just that this is in book form, and this is a movie. And for the record, I love both of these. So here are some reasons I, as a 25-year-old, read YA. I read YA because I can relate to those characters no matter what age they are. I don't read YA because I'm not intelligent enough to read adult books. I read YA because their plots almost always sound interesting to me. I don't read YA just because that's all I hear about. I read YA because my chosen career is teacher, and I love being able to relate to the kids that I'm teaching because we're reading the same book. I read YA because they're some of the most emotional stories I've ever read. I read YA because I love YA, and nobody can take that away from me. That's it for this discussion today, guys. I apologize if it got a little heated and a little rambly. I feel very passionate about reading young adult books as an adult. It really just strikes a nerve when YA or adults reading YA get attacked. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully be seeing you soon. Bye!